Remember me? I would not blame you if you didn't, because it's been about, 5 centuries since I posted a video on this channel. Let me just get you up to speed. I could make up some elaborate tale of how I was out of the country doing some epic battle, but we all know I was posting on my other channel, so I honestly have zero excuses for not posting on this channel. And the only reason I really am is because a fan over on Instagram, hey Tyler, gave me an awesome idea for a video, as you can tell by the title. So I really don't have updates for you guys, so it's not really going to be an update video, and I really want to make this as fast as possible because, well, for 2 reasons. 1, I don't think you guys like long videos, and 2, I'm freaking hungry. I have yet to eat today, so we're gonna make this fast because I'm getting the shakes and I get a little grumpy when I'm hungry. I'm very in a good mood today. I just found out a lot of my favorite YouTubers watch my videos, which I had no idea, so I'm pretty excited. I don't know if I've done this video before. Let me know if I have, or I'll just look it up later. But basically I'm gonna talk about my top 10 horror favorites. I might have done something like this for my first video. I remember talking about my favorites and like how I got into the whole thing. Is my hat crooked? I'm gonna go into my top 10, and this was so hard, you guys, to pick a top 10, and this changes all the time because new movies come out every year and it's always ever changing. As it is right now, these are my top 10. So, oh, just got a text, hold on. I'll reply later. Basically, as it is right now, these are my top 10 and they will change every year. Some of these are pretty constant and will always be some of my favorite movies. But there's about 5 to 7 in here that are kind of, well, I don't know if they're recent. Some of them are really recent. Some of them are more in the past like 10 years that will change around. So they may not always be my favorites, but let's just move on with it. I do want to say that if you don't like my movie choices or if you disagree with any of them, we don't need to argue in the comments. I've gotten things like, oh, if you don't like this movie, you're not a true horror fan, or you like that movie, that's not a horror movie. You know, it's all perspective and how we judge it. These are my favorites. I'm not saying these are the top 10 best movies ever made. These are the ones that I can watch over and over again personally, and I love introducing people to them, so I don't want a little battle in the comments or anything because I consider myself a true horror fan, and I have watched so many horror movies, and out of the ones that I've seen, these are my favorites. Sorry for the long disclaimer, I just really don't want to deal with ignorant people stating that I'm not a horror fan because I like these movies. It just doesn't make sense to me. These are in no order because that would be 10 times more challenging than narrowing down 10 movies. And some of these I will say, actually one of them is more of a thriller, and I'll get into that when I get there. So the first one on my list that I could think of, which I guess would mean it's up there in my favorites, and I can agree, it's definitely one of my favorite movies of all time, is The Thing. And I cheated, and I'm including both of them in this list, the original and the remake. I love them both so equally because one is not technically a remake, it's a sequel, if you will. So I love that it stays chronological, and I just love both of them together. And for the time frame that the first one was filmed, the effects and everything are amazing. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't. It's a classic in my book. The original is, and the new one is, I think, just as good. The acting was amazing, so definitely check them out. The next one is Cabin in the Woods, and I know this one a lot of people loved and a lot of people hated, and I understand why. It's very, I'd say it's acquired taste, if you will, because I can see where some people hate it. It is kind of confusing. I did the ones that I list in this video, any reviews that I have for them, I will list in the description box if you're interested, and I'll probably include an annotation as I'm talking about it if you're interested. So I did do one on Cabin in the Woods, so I will link that. But basically, I loved it. It's one of my favorites. And during the first, like, 20 minutes of it, 30 minutes maybe, I was like, what am I watching? This is stupid. It's just like every other horror movie. And they made it so apparent that it was so stereotypical that when you got the whole thing, you were like, that was genius. That was amazing. So I really respect the writers and creators of this movie because I love what they did with it and making it all stereotypes of horror movies, and even the whole analogy of, I'm not going to give anything away actually, so we'll just move on to the next one, but definitely watch that movie. Next one is a classic that I hadn't seen up until about like 6 months ago. Well, okay, maybe 6 to 8 months ago, and that's Friday the 13th, the original. I haven't seen the remakes or the sequels. I have seen the second one, but I wasn't really paying attention fully to say that I remember the whole plot, but I know they go back to the camp and everything. But the first one's one of my favorites because I love movies that take place in where there's like camping or teenagers. I love those kind of movies, and Friday the 13th, you can't not love that movie, especially if you're into horror. I mean, it's classic. That's all I have to say about it. Next one is one that I've seen recently, and it's my favorite one that I've seen in the past probably 5 years. Favorite horror movie that is that I've seen in theaters in the past 5 years that's come out, and that's Mama. I did a video on Mama, so I'll link that, but basically that movie is one of those that scares me so much. Even when I'm like sleeping at night, I still to this day think about it. Has it come out? It has come out. I think it was May 7th or 12th. I don't remember. It came out on DVD, so definitely you can go out and rent it right now if you haven't seen it, if you didn't see it in theaters, because oh my gosh, that movie. I mean, it's not the best movie I'd say ever made. Like, there were some things that I didn't like about it, but the scare factor of it was so overwhelming for me because that kind of movie is what scares me personally. So it may not scare everybody. I know the people I showed it to and like took to the theater to watch, they were like, what is that? I understand if it doesn't scare everybody. Some people need the blood and guts, but personally those don't get to me. It's those kind of things like Mama. You have like the creepy figure woman thing that's like coming towards you floating. I don't know, those things just freak me out. This would not be a complete video of my top 10 favorites without, of course, The Ring. That is the original favorite. I can't say it's still my #1 favorite movie of all time, but I will say it's definitely top 2 or 3 ever, because that is really what got me into horror. After I watched that, I was like, that's what horror is about right there. There was no gore, a little bit of gore, you know, with the face distortion and whatnot, but they didn't rely on that. They didn't overdo it, and it was all appropriate. So I love that. And the whole, I mean, we all know what The Ring is. I don't have to go into it. Last Halloween, I dressed up as Samara. That was my favorite Halloween I've ever had in my life. I have dreamt to dress up like her for years. Ever since I saw that movie, I wanted to be Samara. I'm even gonna name my daughter when I have one day, Samara. And most people think that's really weird, but I love that name and it symbolizes that movie for me, and my daughter will probably be made fun of in life, but you know what? She is a cool mom. So I can safely say this next movie is my #1 favorite movie of all time. It encompasses everything I love about life. And it's Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. And I did also do a review on this, so link below. And this by far is my favorite because it's a black comedy if you don't know what it is. And so there's lots of gore. It's not scary by any means. There's no suspense, but it's so freaking funny. Like, I love that movie. I laugh so much every single time. There's just something, oh my gosh. I love those actors that are in it. And just everything about that movie is amazing. So hands down, probably my favorite movie of all time. And if you're curious, just I'm gonna throw it out there. My favorite movie of all time that's not horror related is Girl Interrupted. That and Tucker and Dale are tied for first place of my favorite movie of all time. Girl Interrupted for me, I love so much because I am into psychology, and I used to wish that I could work in kind of an institution like what was in that movie. The next one is Misery, and this for me is another classic. It's a Stephen King one. I love all Stephen King adaptations from book to movie, and I haven't seen one that's really disappointed me. Misery, I wanted to limit myself to like one Stephen King movie in this list because I love them all so much. Pet Sematary is the first Stephen King book that I read. So that, for me, the movie just is my childhood kind of come to life. So I love and respect that movie so much too. But I like Misery more, I think, as a movie. And I mean, again, we all know what Misery is. I don't have to go into it. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but it's amazing. So definitely watch it if you haven't seen it, because I mean, all Stephen King movies to me are flawless. And Under the Dome comes out soon. I don't know when, but it's coming to a little TV series. So if you've read that book, you should look up the TV show that's coming out. So this next one is the thriller that I was talking about, but it's too good to leave out. Like, I don't think I cannot say that this is one of my top 10 horror, because it is a horror slash thriller. It's technically, I'd say, more thriller. It's not too horror. And that, you know, talking about it makes me want to watch it again because I love this movie. But it's Seven, starring Brad Pitt. And this movie is amazing. I mean, there's more actors in it than that, but anyway, you can look it up. Kevin Spacey, oh man, love him. So anyway, I love that movie so much. He's basically a serial killer that recreates each death that he does as the sin of the 7 deadly sins. So sloth to me in that movie was the worst one, and that's why I consider it a horror, because of that one, the sloth one. Just all in a nutshell. Sloth. Lust was pretty bad. That one just made me laugh, but Lust was pretty bad. Anyway, but the sloth, I just can't get out of my head. That disturbed me so much. You can also just YouTube that little scene there. It won't ruin the movie or anything, but you should watch that scene of Sloth from Seven, because oh man, that's intense. Okay, we're getting down to the last two. The last two I think are gonna be the most disagreed with in this list, hands down, because they both are kind of recent. The first one's Sinister, and I decided to put this in here because I loved it so much. I've seen it multiple times now, and just thinking about the plot and everything within it, I really liked. The twist did catch me off guard when it happened in the movie, in the theater. When I watched it, I was impressed by the twist. However, looking back, it wasn't super out of nowhere. You can kind of predict that that's what's gonna happen, but I really, really enjoyed this movie because it's really disturbing, and it's not too graphic. It is pretty graphic, shouldn't say that, but it's not too much, and I don't know, I just really liked it. And then the last one, probably the most disagreed with ever. I wanted to include it also because of the scare factor for me. This is what scared me. Some people hate these movies, but it's Paranormal Activity. I had to throw it in there. I had to, because the second one scared me more than anything in the theater, and yeah, they do rely a little bit on jump factor, especially towards the end of these movies. It got dark just now. The sun just went behind some clouds. Yeah, it's weird weather. Anyway, so yeah, Paranormal Activity. I don't really like the fourth one, or was it the fifth one? I don't even, is there 5? I don't even know. I haven't even thought about it in a while, but the first one, I didn't like the acting, but I liked the plot. And then the second one, I just like how they build on each one individually from the previous, and how they're kind of out of order. I really like that. So it's acquired taste, you know, not everybody likes those kind of movies, and I totally understand that. Just respect my decision to say that that's one of my favorite movies, my favorite horror movie series. I don't like saying series because technically I don't like all of them equally, and I wouldn't put all of them in a top 10 horror by any means. Specifically the second one, and I think, yeah, the second one I think would be the most scary for me. That's the one that really got to me in the theater anyway. I saw them all in theaters, but the second one really, really got to me. So those are my top 10, what I would say. There were some that I had to leave out, and I feel bad about. Maybe I'll do an honorable mentions video, because it's really hard to narrow down to top 10, but I really wanted to, just so you guys got a feel from what I've seen, what I kind of like. But yeah, so let me know in the comments what your top 10 movies are. I'd love to hear your favorites and possibly watch some of them and possibly review some of them, because I do need some new movies to review, even though, I mean, even though I haven't been posting videos on here, I've still been watching horror movies like crazy. It's not that I haven't been watching movies, I just don't have the effort to sit down in front of a camera and film. However, I say this every time, so we'll see. I always say at the end of videos that, or in the beginning, that I'm gonna like crack down and focus on this channel, but it never happens. But I'm gonna try, because school is ending next week, so don't expect a video for a little bit. But I have finals next week, and then I won't have anything. I won't even have a job, at least for the month of June. So the whole month of June, I will not have any excuses to not post videos. So I'm really hoping I can just sit down and do it after I watch a movie. So anyway, yeah, leave your favorites down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't expect another one for like another year, maybe. We'll see. I'll shoot for 6 months, but it could be longer. You guys know I'm joking. I'm gonna try to post a little bit more frequently, at least in June. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you somewhat soon. Bye.